That you're watching UPfront with me, Blessed Sogah. You would ordinarily assume that after the December polls, that would have been the end of the action in terms of the battle between the New Patriotic Party and the National Democratic Congress. But it's standing out that in Parliament, the NPP is suffering yet another step back that may likely lead to the party's further reduction in terms of representation when it comes to parliamentary seats in Parliament. And that's because the Kpandai seat is subject to controversy after a High Court in Tamale has now declared that there ought to be a rerun in that constituency, which will mean that Matthew Nyindam will no longer be Member of Parliament for the area. That's not going down well with minority MPs in the House who believe that there's some sort of injustice being meted out to the NPP and targeting, as they call it, a reason for which they want the Speaker of the House to draw attention to this trend that may likely lead to a further depletion of NPP MPs in Parliament. Beyond that, what will this mean for the opposition party, which is seeking to reorganize quickly ahead of the next elections in 2028? That's what we're seeking to explore, but we cannot do that without telling you about the action that unfolded in Parliament with lots of drama and what is now being described as some watchers, political watchers, as sort of, a case of indiscipline in Parliament, if you want to term it as such. Here are highlights for you, capturing those moments and, of course, telling you the picture and the story of why the minority MPs want the Speaker of Parliament to intervene in the Kpandai seats controversy. Take a watch, and then we'll be back to the conversation.
At about 12:30 p.m., First Deputy Speaker Bernard Ahiafo gavelled in the House for start of business. Just after the correction of voting proceedings for the previous sitting, Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre sprang to his feet under Order 43 to make an urgent statement against the letter declaring the Kpandai seat vacant.
We are totally against it. In this House, we have worked in collaboration and in cooperation with our colleagues in the majority. Even where you don't have your numbers, we have allowed you to lay papers and do all manner of things. This decision will not stay. This decision will not stay. As Speaker, we humbly call upon you to instruct the clerk. The clerk must be instructed forthwith to withdraw that letter and act according to law. I shall submit.
But this was only the beginning of a day-long protest compelling the First Deputy Speaker, Bernard Ahiafo, to suspend sitting for a while for heads to cool off.
Honorable members, I will suspend sittings for 5 minutes, and I expect to see the leaders of the House at the lobby.
When the House returned after over an hour, the agitations escalated even more, with the minority members resorting to banging of tables and noisy chants when the Speaker announced that the majority must also be allowed to make a statement on the matter.
And we are telling you this, Chief, we'll get it. Government business will suffer, and you are going to suffer.
At this point, Speaker Alban Bagbin moved in to save the situation. But after several failed attempts to call the minority to order, Speaker Bagbin employed Order 1263 of the Standing Orders of the House and rose to his feet to compel all members to immediately sit in silence. But this was not a lasting solution. The minority got even more agitated as they moved to fill the median of the floor to cause more distraction, escalating into a brawl between the two sides.
As total chaos, total breakdown of order here on the floor of Parliament. Looks like a scuffle between the minority MP, Honorable Stephen, who they popularly call Sticker, Stephen Amwa, there in a scuffle with another minority MP. None of the MPs will listen to the Speaker. At every now and then, an MP just flew into the air. The document on the table of the clerk of the House.
In the midst of the chaos, however, the Speaker and the majority leadership are shielded in silence and focus as they conduct a number of government businesses regardless, approving a total of 21 budget allocations to various ministries agencies and departments in excess of 47 billion Ghana cedis.
Mr. Speaker, I applied wisdom. And that is why I can now confidently say that the NDC has been successful today.
But as far as the minority is concerned, all businesses conducted are null and void. Habibi Drisu is first deputy minority whip.
And there is no single business that has happened today because the parliamentary proceeding, you have been covering parliamentary proceedings. Have you ever seen that they have taken the maize from its original position while parliamentary business is on? So what we are saying, we have stated it, and tomorrow we know that other things will be going. We will advise ourselves what is going to happen.
So they will meet greater force because if you share our numbers, we'll match them 2-1. And so if they want, they should come. We are ready for them. We will not allow them to disrupt government business. That's why we will not allow.
The House resumes Wednesday afternoon for another possible showdown over the Kpandai seat vacancy saga. James Savaji, Parliament House, Accra.
The minority in Parliament appeared to have backtracked on that decision to obstruct government business and obstruct proceedings on the floor until the clerk to Parliament withdraws that letter that went to the Electoral Commission informing the EC that the Kpandai seat had become vacant. Our audience may well remember the very chaotic scenes on the floor of Parliament on Tuesday when the minority vowed that government business was not going to proceed until the Electoral Commission, that letter that had gone to the EC from Parliament, was withdrawn. This morning, we expected that certain scenes of that nature will be recorded on the floor of Parliament. The minority did hold a news conference at which they reiterated this demand for Parliament to withdraw that letter from the Electoral Commission.
We defer any action until the appellate process is conclusively complete, respecting the precedent set across decades. And number 3, we need to recognize that this premature notification violates the separation of powers, disrespect to the judiciary, unjustly disenfranchises the people of Kpandai, and betrays Parliament's own tradition of constitutional caution.
They cited a host of instances where they say members of Parliament seats were not declared vacant despite the pendency of several running legal suits.
In the case of Samuel Nyemekan of Wellensi, after the High Court voided his election, he filed an appeal. What did this House do? It continued to recognize him as a sitting MP throughout the entire appeal process. The seat was only declared vacant after the Court of Appeal delivered its final judgment. In the case of Eric Amwating of Nkranza South, detained abroad on serious charges, this House resisted calls to declare his seat vacant while his legal status was unresolved. Vacancy occurred only upon his own properly executed resignation. In the case of Danabodapi of Keta, convicted and sentenced to 10 years imprisonment, this House did not treat the conviction as an automatic trigger.
Well, despite all these concerns, the minority still showed up on the floor. They did sit in throughout, assisting the government side transact numerous government business and going ahead to deal with bills, lay new bills, and a host of other transactions, all with several minority MPs still on the floor. In the coming days, we'll get to see whether or not the minority will devise new plans and new strategies to press home that demand that the Kpandai seat has not become vacant and the Electoral Commission should not conduct a by-election. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
So what was witnessed on the floor of the House? Some are describing that as chaos. If you believe in that as well, then we've been doing some checks on how many times we've seen this in this Parliament, in the life of this Parliament alone. And we want to give you a sense of what's happened, because ever since the start of this year, we're recounting quite a number of incidents that many would call chaos, if you want to describe it as such. 4 and 5 years, actually, in total, if you're going back to some other lives of the other sessions of Parliament. But in this period, of course, what we're zooming in is to take a look at some of the incidents that we've recorded on the floor of the House. And you'd recall that scary moment, January 7, 2021, where all of us were watching. And during the election of the Speaker, we had, for the first time, the military deployed onto the floor of the House. It became the big issue. There was widespread condemnation around that. No formal investigations at all was committed into that. And then you're taking a look at December 20, 2021, when, of course, the e-levy approval also came up. There was a similar incident that happened with the Speaker then suspending proceedings. And yes, as expected again, no sanctions were meted. So that's why many are asking questions as to why this is continuing even in this year. Because at the start of the year, as I was pointing out, during the activities of the Appointments Committee, we then saw yet another, in fact, that was leading much more into physical confrontation on the part of both sides of the committee, who were then vetting appointees or nominees of the John Mahama administration, which is now currently forming government. We saw that action, of course, involved some 4 members of Parliament as we know it. There was a committee that was set up this time round to look at all of these matters. That's in the case of the February 1 incident. At least we know that the committee was formed, some probes took place, public hearing it was. But what's surprising to us is that many months down the line, there's no public finding, no public indication on what the recommendations were from that committee or whatsoever the way would be in terms of recommendations of the way forward in preventing all of that from happening again. It's the reason for which many are asking questions as to why this has become a sort of taking shape in the sense of a character on the floor of Parliament, with many asking questions, what will happen next with this latest that we've recorded? And that's why we're fixated on this very latest one that we've recorded, December 9, 2025, where there was chaos relating to this Kpandai seat incident, where you saw a report capturing all of the activities that happened on the floor of the House. If you agree with us that that was indeed another chaos, then of course there are questions emerging as to what measures the Speaker of the House will instill or initiate just to try as much as possible to deal with these MPs who were captured. In fact, the indication we're getting is that the majority side wants to press some of these matters through their leadership. And we've heard from the majority whip indicating that what they plan to do is to pick up the names of some members of Parliament, especially those on the side of the New Patriotic Party, and to take them before the Privileges Committee. Already, mind you, the minority leader is facing similar concerns in Parliament, where he's also being referred to the Privileges Committee. But of course, it's not in relation to the chaos that was witnessed. But this time round, the plan by the majority side is to take the matters up to the Speaker of the House. If that happens, then that will definitely mean that obviously there'll be a concern on what the way forward would be. The February 1 incident, 2025, which happened, involved some MPs. That one, the process is complete. There's no indication on whether the reports will be made public, as we've all seen, raising a number of concerns as to what the case might be. The New Patriotic Party has been holding a press conference on this matter. There's a need for us to hear from the NPP on what they actually think about all of these that's happening, as they believe that, well, it's got to do with a case of targeting on the part of the majority side, who are now using their numbers, 2/3 majority, as they say, in Parliament against the New Patriotic Party. We can just listen to excerpts of that address, which we'll be bringing to you shortly. But we're taking a break. When we get back, we'll get into the discussions. Please stay. And thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. Obviously, we're focusing now on why the controversy, first of all, and what the implications will be now for the New Patriotic Party. Now, assuming without admitting that the NPP would go into this election, that will definitely mean that they would have one seat up for contest again, aside what's happened in some other constituencies. The NPP's concern now is that there's no justice in the process, as they still hold to their guns that, look, this is our Member of Parliament who was duly elected, and that the courts are not, reflecting the will of the people, as they point out in their press release. So let's have a conversation on this and speak to the Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party, Richard Ahyangba, who's joining us here on UPfront. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for spending time with us here on UPfront. You saw what happened in Parliament yesterday. I'm wondering how you describe that. We're saying it's chaos. Some say it's indiscipline on the part of the MPs. What's your description of what we saw on the floor of the House?
Good evening to you and to your listeners and viewers. What you saw yesterday was democracy at its finest. That was a look and feel of democracy, because in a democracy, all you have is your voice. And so the minority, having been aggrieved by the ruling and the action of the clerk, have no recourse but to demonstrate and protest the absurdity that is happening. And I think that what you saw, people can describe it differently, but I see that to be a democratic exercise to illustrate for Parliament, the Speaker, and the entire country that we are not happy with the way the court assaulted the rights of the people of Kpandai to select their leader in the person of Martin Yindam, which they have duly. And then you have a backdoor approach through the courts to upend that decision.
If you have the courts, why then do we have your MPs fighting in Parliament?
I don't understand. Fighting in Parliament as in what?
You saw
if we have the courts,
yeah,
why do we have them fighting?
Yeah, but they were fighting on the floor of Parliament.
I'm saying that that's democracy.
Fighting is democracy?
I mean, because you have a situation where people are using the law to oppress rights in a democracy. Now, that's a mistake we make, okay? In Ghana, when you ask, especially since the coming to office of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, when you ask, they say, oh, well, have we gone against the law? In the removal of the Chief Justice, Article 146, has anything been breached? They're asking you that question to say yes or no. But here's a situation where a court ruling that is not proportional, that appear completely absurd, that there is a contest to do with 41 polling stations. And then you turn around, not even a quarter of the polling stations in the constituency, you turn around in deciding a matter to do with 41 polling stations, contesting 500 votes, you say, let's just do a rerun.
But that's not what was solely before the courts.
That's a lazy ruling. I'm saying that you have to be surgical about the issue.
No, based on whose rules? Your rules?
Based on every common sense premise.
No, but
because the point is that, look, you see, the point is, what exactly are you looking for? Somebody comes to you and say, I have issue with 41 polling stations. Yes. You are looking into that. And then all of a sudden, you spiral out of control and say everything, including the 152.
Yeah, but it was part of the reliefs. I'll get to the part of the reliefs first. I just want to get your clarity. Is it the case that the NPP is supporting violence or indiscipline on the part of your MPs?
I'm not sure what you're looking for, but I've answered the question to you that what you saw is democracy.
Have you seen the video
And in a democracy, what you have is your voice. When you are faced with oppressive, tyrannical majority, which is the evolution that we're seeing with the majority NDC in Parliament, when you're faced with a tyranny in a democracy, all you have is your voice. And that was what they were demonstrating. I don't think that there is anything for a democratic people to do when they feel oppressed, rather than resort to use
I'll mention two names. I'll mention two names because those are the videos going viral. Dr. Stephen Amwa, you've seen his video, correct?
I haven't seen that video.
Okay. Reverend Tim Forjo, you've seen his video, correct?
I haven't seen that video.
It is as if you're choosing just to look at some other videos and not look at what some of your MPs were doing.
Yeah, well, but I'm also surprised why you are choosing to look at their action and not focus on what precipitates their action. The law, the ruling by the judge, that precipitates that behavior. The issuance of the notice to EC, which precipitates that. And the clerk to Parliament is aware there is a stay of execution motion that's been filed at the court, which today was a hearing, and the judge has actually adjourned the ruling to the 18th. Now, see how things are progressing. I'm asking myself here that, given the urgency of the issue, why are you adjourning this to the 18th? Why are you adjourning it to the 18th? The clerk to Parliament, yes, he can claim that he's doing his constitutional duty at the 112 or whatever he's trying to do, but in common sense approach to this and precedent, tradition to do with this, Parliament itself, matters like this have been dealt with. And most recently, the Jechikwesin matter. He remained in Parliament. He remained in Parliament up until 2023, I think, 2023, when Parliament, in May, actually I remember, May 17th, Supreme Court ordered for his name to be expunged. That was upon that a notice was issued for a rerun or for a by-election in his constituency. From 2021, 7th January, even before he walked into Parliament, there was a court case contesting his eligibility, but he stayed in Parliament all through. What is the hurry? Now, by operation of the clerk's letter, Matthew Nyindam is no longer an MP. And the question is, what's the hurry? What's the hurry? There's an appeal. There's an appeal that at the Supreme Court that the clerk is a party to. So he's aware there's a process to remedy, okay, the irregular ruling that came from the Tamale High Court. Nobody agrees with that. I don't agree with that. You see clearly that judgment is procured in many ways. How can somebody come seeking issue to be addressed with 41 and just go straight out?
As of now,
there is precedent even in matters such as that should guide that court.
Yeah, that's why I was pointing. I'm about to point you to that. As of now, is there any court ruling ordering otherwise, either for a stay of the execution of the rerun?
Well, of course, the same judge sitting on the stay application today has found a convenience to adjourn it to the 18th.
Yes,
so that just gives you a
pass. There's no order.
No, there's no order. You see,
yes. So why then blame the clerk of Parliament?
I'm not blaming him, but I'm just saying that per the tradition and the precedents with the Parliament, he should have fidelity to that. There's a tradition that he can honor, even because nobody will compel him. You understand? So I mean, you have an institution, you have a way that you do your things. I've cited a classic instance for you. Jechikwesin, the now Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, stayed in Parliament all the way till 2023, going through the motions of appeal here and there. He stayed. You go back in the day, today the press conference, the Deputy Minority Leader, Madam PJ, was talking about way back in 2001. The NDC MP, Samuel Yimakan, was in Parliament. His issue started 2001. He stayed on the basis of appeal all the way to 2003 before his term was actually, his seat was actually pronounced vacant for a rerun to be done. So you have some precedent. And if really there's honesty, if really this is not an attempt, okay, to procure or to seize the mandate of Matthew Nyindam by the NDC and whoever else in the shadows promoting this thing, I don't see where the hurry is, okay? But they are in a hurry, okay, to declare the seat vacant, but the judge who created this mess is not in a hurry at all to pronounce on the stay of application.
The fact still remains that the law is in the bosom of the judge now.
The law is in the bosom of the judge, but in a democracy, the law doesn't take precedent. We are talking about the right of citizens to select their leader. That is the foundation of democracy. It is not the law. The law is only providing a restraint so that I don't breach your right to exercise your right in a democracy. Now, when we prioritize the law and make the law the essence of our democracy, we get it wrong. Because what is at issue is the people's right, which has resulted in the selection of an MP. And you are saying that because a law, the law is in the bosom of the judge, so he can use it to upend the original inherent right of citizens to select their leader, which they have. And the judge will assume that the law is my bosom, so he will use that to upend the right, the inherent right of the people. The law does not take precedent in a democracy. We make that mistake in Ghana when we are talking about this issue in a democracy. The law doesn't come first. The law doesn't come first. It's the right of the people of Kpandai that must be prioritized. And so when that has come to be contested, the judge must take essence and say that, look, what we are trying to do is to protect the people's right. And so it is not about the law, but it's about the people's
But your rights are only guaranteed in law.
No, that right is inherent.
You think so?
Yes, the right of free people, the free society, it's inherent. It's God-given.
If the military takes over now,
no.
The Constitution.
Well, that is why.
Your rights are only guaranteed in law.
But we're not talking about military rule. We're talking about democracy.
I'm just giving you an example.
But that's an absurd. It's an absurd. We're talking in context about a democracy. So you don't stray to that.
No, but I have to give you the example.
No.
Based on what you're saying.
It's not a healthy example. We are in a confined space, and that space is democracy.
You're trying to force the hands. You're trying to force the hands
without that. In fact, just hold on.
Of the courts. The courts are independent, and so should its processes.
But I'm saying that about what I'm talking about. The NDC was sitting here, and then we're talking about unanimous FC, and when they showed the courts were independent. And so because they have come,
the courts at the time.
We defended it, but
as an independent organization.
Of course, they are supposed to be. But if they found reason to say that it wasn't independent, then it means they have a way of making the court not to be independent. That's why they thought somebody was doing it. So they have come that we should even believe now that the court is not independent because of their assertions when they're in opposition, because they have reason to believe the court, which should be independent, they say it's not independent. And even today, there's evidence to even suggest that the courts cannot be independent. Really? Because now the court should be afraid.
What's changed about the courts now? Is it the judges or the CJ?
Unprecedented in the Fourth Republic, you have gone to remove a CJ, Chief Justice. You have removed a Chief Justice, who is a High Court judge, who is a Court of Appeal judge. That cannot be removed. You'll be yanked off in a minute. So everybody is afraid. People are afraid. I mean, don't you see the judgments that are coming, where people are referring to Animal Farm and the rest of it to right rulings in our country? You understand? I think that we should make this point fundamentally, that in a democracy, this whole business about is the law must be looked at. Because in a democracy, we are not prioritizing the law. It is the people's right. Because without the right to vote, you don't have a democracy.
Yeah, so if you're looking for the people's verdict,
so when the rights of the people is in conflict with the law, what must win or what must take precedent is the right of the people.
And what a better way than going for a rerun? Because it will still be the constituents of Kpandai who would vote, isn't it?
No, but because you see, there's a sealed mandate for 4 years that Nyindam has earned, that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has earned. Nobody should do anything to tamper with that mandate, because it is in our collective that decided on December 7th, constitutionally, that on December 7th we vote. And so once that date has come and we have voted, that mandate must be respected for its full term. So any effort by anybody to upend that mandate by the people, even if you are going to the same people to do it, it is not acceptable, because that mandate has been decided.
So why then?
Otherwise,
the CI,
you disturb the stability of our democracy by orchestrating a legal regime that will.
So why then is the CI
would give rulings that will give cause for reruns to be done?
So why then is the CI making provisions for election rerun?
But you see, we have seen election reruns. And the Samuel Imakan issue that I was talking about, it has to do with eligibility under Article 194, right? Where he's not from the area, Okay, I think from a different community. I think Saboba, and he's here in Willency, and people think that he is not qualified to represent the people. On that basis, yes, you can nullify because there's an illegality inherent in that.
That's the same thing the judge is coming to a conclusion on.
No, please. I'm not, I can understand you're just doing a journalistic thing.
No, but I have to ask you the question.
I'm coming. The questions you're asking are good, but I'm just saying that I'm at a loss how you, a citizen, you cannot see the absurdity, the effort that is being given to upend the rights
and when
of
you
the
say
people
that, that's
of
why people are asking the question. There's a credibility issue here at stake for the judge to decide. It was part of the relief sent to court, isn't it? Because the petitioner had said that based on some of the infractions happening at this 41 in question, polling stations that you're referring to under contention, they believe that that has an impact on the integrity, the entire integrity of the elections.
My understanding is that the Honorable Yindam's lawyers argued, a time bar that preclude this application from coming properly before the court because it had exceeded the window. Right?
Whatever the case, it was accepted before the judge.
But I'm saying that is an upset.
It's part of the reliefs being sought by the petitioner.
Are you not worried? Are you not worried that a limit set on your application under law, okay, that window...
No, Richard, I can't...
Hold on, I'm just saying...
No, you can't move on. Shift the goalposts. I want us to deal with the aspect of your party claiming that the judge is acting out of
Don't make it my party. Hold on, don't make it my party. This is, for me, bigger than my party. This is about democracy. If it is done to my party as you're trying to portray it, tomorrow it will be done to another party. The idea is that you're undermining and chipping away our democracy. So we must have a full system conversation about this. This has something to do with the NPP. Yes, it's something that affects us directly, but if we don't deal with it as a systemic matter, you would have it another time occur. Why? I mean, what is happening, NDC will not be in power forever. I must let you know that.
True.
And you should be worried about that because really what they are doing is charting a path. Anybody can walk on that path tomorrow, perhaps do worse. Imagine that what they are doing. What they are doing, let me just give you an example. Imagine what they are doing is systematized, and so everybody acquiesces, and then it happens.
What exactly is the NDC doing?
I'm saying that a ruling, a ruling, of course, this whole thing is coordinated. I can tell you.
Richard, but I'm coming.
Ask you
questions.
I'm coming.
So where's the evidence? How do you prove that? Yes.
But you see, when you ask for that evidence, it's like asking me to prove corruption to you.
No,
if it was something that people want you to see, they would have done it on the street.
No, but Richard,
so by the point I'm trying to let you know is that, okay, so one evidence.
Yes.
You don't want me to argue the point to you, or you know that. Why is it that the application before the court had no proper jurisdiction to be there because it had expired in law? The provision.
That's your.
But I'm saying this is black and white. The elections were gazetted on the 24th of December. By the time they filed, about 32 days has elapsed. Why are you telling me that that's my opinion? It's not a matter of opinion. The law is express. When you see section 16(1) of the PNDC law 284, it is clear. 21 days.
So why are the lawyers for the said embattled MPs challenging this ruling of the courts then?
Well, my understanding is, that's what I was going to tell you. My understanding is that his lawyers argued that in court, but the judge did not see it to be reasonable. But you see, it is not up to the judge's opinion. This is express. It is black and white. So it is not in his bosom, as you said, because we are provided for that. That if you bring a case, or if I come to your show 10 minutes late, 15 minutes late, I will not be admitted. It's express.
Richard, justice emanates from the people. Or what's the NPP scared of? Just go back to the constituency and face off with the NPP.
You don't understand what you are talking about.
Are you scared that the NPP may lose the election if you go for it?
These are dangerous propositions that you are making to all of us. So for us to acquiesce and say, okay, if they say so, then let's go. So what if tomorrow there's a crazy judge, in quote, who can be as bold as possible to say that the whole presidential election ought to be rerun?
Yeah, but you challenge
don't think that it's an absurd request to be made. Somebody can make that.
But
if somebody makes that, and there's a Supreme Court panel or whatever that sat on it and say, yeah, I think we agree that issue, take 2012 for example, the issue to do with time and the disputes that went for petition, and then you have in a different world some judges who sat and in a 5-1 decision they say that, well, somehow we think that the challenges that were brought, the irregularities that were reported are such that the integrity of the entire election is in question, so therefore let's rerun the election. Do you imagine the chaos that will happen?
Which chaos?
Let's not flet.
Which chaos will
let's
happen?
not flet with
provided
these
for
things.
in law.
Let us not
Richard.
make it a studio
Richard,
conversation.
You're saying that election reruns are new. We've done that in just this year alone in another constituency, which resulted in the NDC overturning the constituency that hitherto was for them.
I mean, so
reruns are not necessarily chaotic, is it? I'm just letting you know that it's not.
You can't let me know because what you're saying is not true.
I'm based on facts.
But there is
we've just had a rerun.
No, there is no logical basis for what you're saying.
But we've just had a by-election.
We had a by-election, so what?
But it wasn't chaotic.
What precipitated the by-election?
But it wasn't chaotic.
No, I'm saying what precipitated it. So because it's not chaotic, we should be having by-elections. So therefore, let's turn everything up and then be doing by-elections every day. Is that what we want to do? There's a mandate. When you go to election, it's a four-year term. So there must be some stability with that. So you can execute your mandate. The fact that you can do a by-election that's not chaotic doesn't mean that we should do it and share it like Kelewele to people. No. There must be a reason. If there is a reason necessitating by-election, you can do that. But I'm saying that in a democracy, the stability you need to run the democracy is important.
What will happen? What's the worst case? What could happen in Kpandai?
You see, you have to look at the broader picture. Okay? You are sitting there today. Tomorrow you may be sitting somewhere else. So when you're asking the question today, imagine and look at the bigger picture. What we are dealing with is not NPP. So don't ask as if NPP has something to defend and so therefore you're asking.
But do you have something to defend?
Hold on. The questions you are asking, I have a feeling that you are not imagining yourself part of this democracy. You're asking a question as if you are alien looking down and asking questions from Ghana. Yes, so you should understand that when somebody is disturbing the stability of our democracy in that manner, it should not be acceptable.
Are you mindful that there are two parties in this case and that it's not just your side that is feeling aggrieved?
I just told you that there is an express law that provides that if you have any grievance, okay, you come within 21 days of gazetting the result. And this individual came outside of that. Somehow, a judge agrees that application or petition is properly before him, which is contrary to law.
And we have laws for the NPP agreeing to the process. They never challenged that.
Which one? He challenged the thing. He challenged what do you mean? But the judge accepted it.
There are superior courts to this time.
Of course. And so that's why we're saying that we have a notice of appeal.
Yes.
We have a notice of appeal and then a state
not challenging the expiration, but you're challenging the outcome of the fact that there ought to be a rerun. That's what you're challenging.
I understand.
You're not challenging the fact that the window provided for under the CI
that is
that's not the basis for which you are in court.
Who told you that?
That's not the basis for which the relief.
Who told you that?
Is that the relief you're seeking?
Yes, it's part of the relief that we're seeking. Arguing that petition that the judge in Tamale actually sat on and tried was not properly before the court because it had expired. The time bar had expired. It's one of the reliefs that we're seeking. So if you are sitting there and you are seeing that injustice is being done to somebody and you can be bold and ask me a question as if the person who is being mistreated is the one to answer questions, then I'm sorry that our democracy is in peril.
You're assuming that you're the only ones being mistreated.
Because you don't realize it. If you realize it,
Richard, there are two parties involved here. There are two parties involved. Your side.
Are you saying that? Are you saying that you disagree? That the time bar expired?
Well, I'm not the judge. The judge is
it's not by a judge. It's black and white.
But that's not my mandate.
You want me to read it? You want me to read it?
That's not my mandate.
No, you want me? No.
That's not my mandate.
How can you say that?
No, I'm telling you, that's not my mandate. The mandate of the court would then decide. Now there's an appeal.
So imagine that somebody shows up and says that, look, as a court, okay, that says that.
It's as though you've lost faith in the entire judiciary. I mean, this is a judiciary.
When you have a judiciary, okay, headed by a chief justice, and a regime takes office and goes there and yank off the person.
Just one person.
And Yes, of course. That's the head.
Yeah, it's
not just one person. That's the cause of the judiciary. That's the leader. They cut off the head. Then the body is
Are you sure about this?
Oh yeah. You disagree that
we have a chief justice. We have a chief justice.
You disagree that chief justice is the head of the judiciary? You disagree?
No, I agree with you.
Okay, so when you go and yank off the head,
yes,
you create chaos.
But
and then you have planted a chief justice of your choosing. Okay, and see, if there were probable cause, express reason why you remove the former chief justice, people will agree with you. This flimsy, this political motive to remove a chief justice,
what would have been different? What would have been different,
for the sake
Richard?
of removing?
What would have been different?
Tells
Richard,
you
if
that
you had
there's a motive ulterior, not any process of streamlining or curing any ill.
Richard, what would have been different?
It was designed to fix politically what they wanted to do.
Richard, what would have been different if you had Gertrude Tokono as the Chief Justice? Are you impugning that we wouldn't have seen what is happening now?
No, I'm not even saying that. I'm just saying
we took out the head.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I'm just giving you what has happened.
Okay, right.
I'm not saying it is Gertrude Tokono or not. But I'm just saying that if you have gone there to take the Chief Justice of, if ask me, you are my friend, okay? And so I become president, and I say, well, no, I don't like John, take John away and put you there. I must have some interest, okay? Believe it or not, you can position it on camera and say, oh, this is very independent.
You just haven't provided me evidence to show how the NDC is linked to this. That's why I'm
linked to what?
You're saying it's coordinated. This appears to be.
Okay. But what? Because you see, you are pretending to be asleep.
No,
so whatever I will do to you, you won't wake up.
Sleeping.
You understand? I'm trying to wake you up. You have refused to wake up.
Richard,
here's the thing. One, the judge.
I'm awake actually.
Okay. No, but in the matter we are talking, you are asleep. You are intentionally asleep.
No, please refer to me.
Wait. You are struggling to see the absurdity. The absurdity. Because I'm telling you that the application being brought to the High Court has no purpose to be there because the time expiration has happened.
Let's allow the courts. Let's allow the
Supreme Court. This is express. This is not a matter of opinion.
Let me point you to this. Are you aware that your own MP?
Why are you disagreeing?
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just
black and white.
I'm just asking questions. Okay. Are you aware that your own member, Richard? Are you aware that your own member of Parliament, Eko Vincent Asifwa, has been to the Supreme Court? Procure a judgment. Okay, well, I don't want to use your word procure. So there's a judgment that is out now by the Supreme Court pointing out that if someone is performing a constitutional duty, and of course you are also in court seeking some different directives or whatever it is from the court, until such a decision is procured from the court, you cannot stop a constitutional process from flowing.
That's understandable.
That's exactly what we have here. So until there's a different decision from the Supreme Court, the decision of the seat being vacant stands.
Yeah. In fact, even that I mean, that's,
so you agree now?
That's a status quo.
So you agree now?
Hold on. That's the status quo we have, right?
But you agree with me on that?
Yes, it's an absurd status quo. Okay, because what it is that hold on, I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm saying I'm not disagreeing. And if you saw the letter the clerk wrote to the EC, he was clear in saying that he's coming under 112. Precisely. So he's insulated himself that he's
performing a constitutional.
But I don't disagree with that. But it's an absurd situation. Okay, it's an absurd situation. What obtained before, where an appeal can operate as a stay, is more reasonable. Because if you look at Article 99. Okay, which deals with this determination of membership of the House, actually provides that in the event that you are not happy with a decision of the High Court, you can appeal. Okay, that's Article 2, Clause 2 of 99. So now, if you have a constitution that provides for recourse, okay, and then before that recourse expires, you move on to do an election. So what's the consequence of that provision? In the law. I'm saying, what is the consequence of it? So that's the absurdity of the situation we have. Because if I have recourse to appeal, and that appeal has not been exhausted, and that appeal is pending, and you are moving to run an election, what you're doing is that when my appeal succeeds, what are you going to do? Are you going to nullify the new elections? So that is the absurdity we're talking about. But
it was your own MP that went to court for...
I'm not, there's not even the MP's...
but I'm just pointing
I'm saying that I'm actually using the Constitution to tell you that. Okay? So that what is happening now and the Constitution is at variance. Because the Constitution gives you the liberty to appeal. Okay? So if you are going to appeal something that is being determined, and if your appeal succeeds, What happens? And what it means then is that when you're moving in this direction, it means that your appeal will be of no consequence. That's where you can see the second strand of the collusion, because they want to run around and do it, and once they have done it, then whatever is happening in the court will be of no consequence. It doesn't matter how long you pursue it, because it won't amount to much. We have moved on. That's what is happening, and that's why they are moving. That's why the judge, seeing the urgency of the matter, and what happened in Parliament today, if you are sitting on that case, you should conclude the matter. As to whether you are going to effect the stay or you are not. And by adjourning it to the 18th, for me, just demonstrate that they are taking it nice and easy because they know what outcome they have calculated.
Well, I separation of powers then? Because the judge is independent from
But do we still have separation of powers in this country? Where you have, when you have the Speaker of Parliament is NDC?
Michael Quay was NPP too.
But I'm just saying, well, you can say that about that time, but we are talking about today.
No, why are you picking it?
We are talking about today. Are we in yesterday? We are today.
When today, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So
we are in today, and I'm just telling you, you are asking if there's separation of power. And I'm trying to tell you that the three are one, effectively.
How?
The three are one. The God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, they are one. That's what we have. So the separation of power is thrown to the wind.
This is a constitutional order that guarantees the independence of all the arms.
You can choose what you want to describe it. Yeah. I'm telling you that the appearance, of things doesn't give you that confidence.
If there's no independence, why then are you still going to court, to the Supreme Court, to ask?
What recourse do we have? We don't have any recourse.
Okay.
We'll try the process. But you see, and whilst we are doing that, and that's where I was reminding you to be careful, because we are building a nation. We are building a democracy. And so if we don't stand against some of these things and comment for them to be corrected, they become part and parcel of the system. And so as bad as it is, that becomes the norm. Unless you have a good person who comes and say, look, let's refix all of these things. I was going to use a certain word. No, I didn't use.
You don't want to use reset.
I didn't use that. You were. Okay. You are using. You don't have a good person. And in all honesty, I can call Professor John Evans Atta-Mills as one of such individuals who will come and say, look, let's clean the slate. Let's start over. I see the same personality in His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, a person capable of doing that. And I know he has the heart, but it is his politics as it unfolds. That's what I have issue with. Him as a person is clear. I think he has the tendency, but why he is not moving in that direction beats my imagination. His politics as of now doesn't give me the confidence that we have separation of powers. The three are one.
I see. What's dropping in my spirit now is just, this situation of the NPP losing too many more seats. You've lost one already. Your numbers are dwindling in Parliament. What's going on?
You shouldn't worry about that. You shouldn't worry about us losing numbers in Parliament. You should worry about our democracy weakening. That is a more consequential reality. That we lose seats, we'll gain those seats.
How?
I'll tell you, we'll go for the election 2020. You'll see it. The NDC will not have that number. I can bet you right now, if you want. Let's bet and do that. The NDC will not have that numbers in Parliament.
If we run elections today...
We don't run... The elections are not due today. Elections are due December 7, 2028. That's when the election...
but you're not a prophet.
And I am telling you, I don't have to be a prophet. I don't have to be a prophet. I just have to be a Ghanaian to tell you that this 2028 election, NDC won't have those seats in Parliament. NDC won't be in power forever. I don't have to be a prophet to tell you that. So why are you not telling me I'm not a prophet?
But if you're saying in 2028 they will not have the seats.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they will not have this many seats.
Okay.
Yes, they will lose some of it. They will lose their seats. So right now, what is of consequence is not whether NPP is losing our seats or not. But what is of consequence is that would our democracy survive the tyranny? If our democracy will survive the tyranny, 2028, all of these things will be put together. You understand? So what needs to be protected is our democracy, fundamentally. And what the actions of the court and what Parliament is acquiescing itself to do, and the whole setup that we're looking at, it gives us cause to worry that they are chipping gradually away our democracy, and that
here's
does
a
not
question
give us
for you.
hope.
If you go to the Supreme Court, where you are now, and the court says, well, we agree with this judge that you seem to have an issue with, what then happens? Will you go into the elections?
Well, that would have put us in a place where we don't have recourse. And when we get to that bridge, we'll cross it. But right now we have
the elections. That's
but I'm saying that. But then that also would have made a history in our country that a black and white provision of the law. Yeah. Okay, people have seen it, and they say no, we see it, but we will not work with it, and that will tell significantly about their own integrity and what judicial system we are running. Yeah. Because if we provide a law provides for you to be able to come properly within a certain space of time, and you fail to come, you shouldn't be rewarded.
Yeah, but Richard, my question to you is, you're a political party, you're obviously mapping out strategies. If the Supreme Court, because you go to court knowing that you would either win or lose, if it turns out negative...
It's not so...
No, every lawyer says that. Every lawyer says that.
It's not a gamble.
Every lawyer says
it's not a gamble if you are not sure, if you are not sure of the evidence, because it's an evidence issue.
Yes.
When the evidence is explicit, you don't go there and be
but I'm saying, Richard, that every lawyer says that you go to court expecting 2 hours.
Any lawyer who tells you that knows they don't have the evidence. I'm telling you that there's a clear provision of a law in our country. Yeah. The representation of people's that one says that you come before the court properly if you are within 21 days.
President Akufo-Addo challenged the results, the outcome of the elections at some point. Yeah. He didn't. He went there with evidence. He lost, but he ran again and won. That's why I'm saying that there's a possibility.
You are talking about two different things.
I'm just giving you examples.
No, your examples are not keeping...
Richard, you go to court knowing that there's the possibility of 2 outcomes. I'm saying that if you go into that courtroom,
let me tell you,
and the court says, well, we don't agree with your side.
Petition, we're not going there to gamble.
I know.
The evidence we brought there,
but you still lost.
We're cocksure that we're going to win.
That's a possible outcome. I'm just saying, in this case, if you have the situation
you saw that.
No, I've seen all the evidence.
No, hold on. You saw that 4 Supreme Court justices agreed
on that, but
it is not a gamble.
It didn't change the outcome. I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying that it is not a gamble.
I get that perfectly. I'm just saying an example.
So don't put it as though that we just went there shabbily. It is in 2020 that people went there shabbily.
No, I get that. I get the politics of it.
Why are you in a hurry to move on? In 2020, people went to the Supreme Court shabbily without evidence.
We've got to go. I'm just asking
you. They went there shabbily, so that's why you can refer to it. But in 2013, we went there properly.
With solid evidence, and yet you lost the case. I'm saying.
No problem. Well, we didn't lose the case because it was...
Richard, let me ask you the final question so we can go. If you go into the courtroom now and the court says, we don't agree with you, will you go in for the elections?
When we get there, we'll decide.
Are you chickening out of the elections?
Which one?
The Kpandai, possibly.
Presently, I'm telling you that we have a legitimacy to that Kpandai seat.
Okay.
We don't think we lost the election, but the NDC is coming through the back door to steal that seat, and we will do everything to make sure it is restored to us.
Richard Ahiangba is the Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party. He'll be here again if the outcome is successful or otherwise. He'll be here. I promise you that. But that's all time with the last here on the show. Grateful for your time and thanks for watching, and bless us. Until then, log on to myjoyonline.com. More stories there for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.